So I've had a request to do a MAC starter kit. Now I know some of this will be kind of irrelevant to a lot of you guys if you've been purchasing MAC for a long time, or if you already have a big collection or whatever, but I know that a lot of people that watch the videos here on YouTube are just starting out in makeup, and I mean, the first time you go to MAC, it can actually be like pretty scary. Like, I know especially in the UK a lot of the makeup artists aren't that friendly, so it's kind of good to go in with an idea of what you want to get before you kind of go in and talk to them or whatever. So it's definitely worth thinking about what you buy before you go in there, because obviously it is quite expensive. So I'm just going to run through what I think are really good basics to buy from MAC. I'm kind of going to go through and like how you put your makeup on, just so that I don't forget everything. The first thing, obviously, foundation. Now, this is a tricky one to actually recommend to people because it depends on your skin type. The MAC foundation that I use is Studio Sculpt, and I've spoken about it a lot on YouTube. The shade I use is NW25, but if you are going to buy some foundation from MAC, what you want to do is kind of go in, get colour match so that you get the right colour for your skin tone. And make sure you're buying the right foundation for your skin type as well. You'll probably have to speak to somebody at MAC and, you know, tell them your past history. I know MAC foundations often break people out if you're prone to that as well, so that's also an issue that you kind of have to consider. As for concealers, I don't really like any of the MAC concealers that I've tried. Personally, I prefer other brands, so I'm also not going to include any of those. Another thing from MAC, though, that I do think is absolutely great for setting your foundation is Mineralized Skin Finish Natural. It's kind of just easy. Like, if you get loose powders, they can sometimes be kind of messy and, like, more difficult to apply, but I find this goes on really well. And you can also, because it's got a little bit of coverage, it's very sheer, you can use it as a foundation as well if you're looking for a natural look. So that's definitely something that I would recommend. As for blushes, the one that I use the most, probably out of my collection, is Pink Swoon. This I have on at the moment, and I find it's a good colour just for my skin tone, obviously because I'm very fair and because I'm blonde. But obviously it depends like what kind of thing you like. If you prefer a bit more of a natural blush, another one I like to use is Desert Rose, which is this really deep rose colour. This is actually very, very pigmented, so you need a tiny bit. Like, if you put on too much, it's a crazy, crazy colour. It can actually look very natural when you have it on, because it's kind of like a more red, kind of rosy flush, whereas obviously bright pink is not a natural colour that you're going to achieve in your cheeks. And then another one that I also like is Style, which is Coral with Gold Reflex, which is really pretty. That's kind of a nice summer one as well, because if you're tanned, the gold shimmer can look really nice with the tan. So moving on to eyes. Now, MAC eyeshadows, like, it's something that you can go into the shop and you can be totally, like, amazed by the array. Obviously they have so many, and you go in, and often I find I just go for the prettiest looking ones and think, oh, that's so nice, I've got to have it, and then I end up never ever using it. I've picked out 4 that I think are really great to start off an eyeshadow collection that you'll actually use a lot. Now, I've chosen these 4, like, they don't all 4 kind of go together that well, but I've chosen them for a reason. There's 2 day colours and then 2 to create a smoky eye, which is pretty much the most desired makeup look as far as I know. Like, everyone's like, oh, how do I do a smoky eye, that kind of stuff. So, and I've also chosen 4 because I think it's quite useful if you buy them in the pans and you want to kind of like save space, you can get a little 4-pan palette and put them in there, and then you're kind of ready to go and you've got everything. I've picked out All That Glitters, which a lot of you will know the name of because it has a very famous namesake on YouTube, All That Glitters 21, obviously. Yeah, it's just like a really shimmery beige. And it's really pretty for pretty much any skin tone. I use it, I'm wearing it at the moment on my lid. And then I've also chosen Twinks, which is a shimmery kind of plum brown, if you can see there. And those 2 go really nicely together, and that's what I'm wearing on my lids today. So I've chosen those 2 as the kind of like daytime 2 eyeshadows that I think would be good to start out with, just because they're quite versatile. They suit pretty much any skin tone and you can kind of play around with them, like they're quite forgiving. Another thing that you could replace Twinks with, if you like a more kind of matte finish and not so shimmery, is something like Embark, which is just matte, like a deep matte brown. But yeah, I mean, it's up to you. And then obviously Carbon, which is MAC's matte black. and the other one I've chosen is Night Divine, which is this blue tone grey that I actually use a lot. You can see them all next to each other there, so that's kind of how they would look, but I think it's really good to start with those 2 day and 2 nighttime colours, and then you can add brights to your collection at a later date. Another thing that I would recommend picking up is a paint pot. I would actually recommend Bare Study, just because this colour, it works as a base, it works as like a lid colour, and it also works as a highlight. It's such a pretty colour, like if you can see there, that is blended in so that it's like just a highlight, but then if you apply it more thickly, you actually get a more dramatic colour, like that. Yeah, so I definitely recommend that. I mean, if you have a more, like a deeper or more yellow toned skin tone, Rubenesque is also really pretty, or Soft Ochre, whichever one kind of like grabs your attention in the shop, but for me, Bare Study is definitely my favourite and one that I would recommend getting first. As for eyeliner, like MAC's basic black eyeliner, their Eye Kohl and Smolder, I recommend because it's just really, really easy to apply. It's really soft, easy to put in your waterline. Right, so lip products. I've chosen 1 lipstick and 1 lip gloss. Obviously, it depends like what kind of look you want to go for, but I would say a good combination for like a neutral lip is what I'm wearing at the moment, and that is Hue lipstick, which is a neutral pink, and then Pink Carrot or Pinkarat, I don't know how to say this, but I'm going to call it Pink Carrot, is a kind of rosy pink with gold shimmer in it. Yeah, so I think these two make a really nice combination. Like so. If you're looking for something a little bit darker, say if you're not as fair as me, a similar kind of combination of the two would be Viva Glam 5 lipstick and then Viva Glam 6 lip gloss. If you look at those two, they're a little bit more kind of rosy, a little bit deeper colours. There's Viva Glam 5, and that's Hue there. You can kind of see like the effect it has. It's a little bit darker. So if your lips are a little bit more pigmented, going for such a like light colour might not be for you. But I think they're a good place to start because, I mean, neutral colours that you can wear every day and that you'll actually get to experience what the product is like, see what MAC lip gloss is like, what MAC lipstick is like, and actually get use out of it before you spend money on buying unusual colours that you wouldn't usually wear. So yeah, the last thing is brushes. Now, personally, I wouldn't recommend MAC brushes if you're a beginner, purely because there are cheaper alternatives out there. I mean, Sigma is really well known on YouTube. Everyone's done a review on their brushes. So if you haven't already heard of them, go and search them in the YouTube search bar, and you'll see that, you know, they are pretty good comparisons to MAC. The 2 MAC brushes that I do have and use a lot are the 217, which is really dirty because I've just used it, which I would recommend for beginners just because it's such a good crease brush. Seriously, they do all the work for you. But Sigma do the equivalent 217. I've only got the travel size in that. And as you can see, they're like identical. Obviously, I've used this one for brown and this one for black. I need to wash them. And then the other brush that I use every day from MAC is the 187. And I use this for putting on my foundation. And this is the Sigma equivalent again. So, yeah. This isn't a Sigma brush review, but starter kit from MAC, I wouldn't put any brushes in there just because Sigma is way cheaper and pretty much the same. So, yeah. Okay, so that is my MAC starter kit. I hope it helped you out if you're just starting in makeup. I know I should have watched one of these videos on a MAC starter kit before I started buying MAC, because I think I would have a better collection if you kind of plan how to buy everything a bit better, then you end up with a better makeup collection in the end. Yeah. So I hope this helped. Let me know if you have any more requests. Keep them coming in, and I'll see you soon. Bye!